Anxiety has become one of the most common struggles of our time. From constant notifications to uncertain futures, our minds are rarely still. But long before the age of social media, the Bible addressed the restless human heart. God knew we would face fear, worry, and overwhelming burdens. And so, through His Word, He gave us timeless principles for peace that transcend culture, time, and circumstance. Today, we are going to take a deep journey into the Scriptures, exploring how God's ancient wisdom can bring calm to our modern chaos. The promise of God's peace. Philippians 4 verse 6-7 tells us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This is not a polite suggestion, it's a powerful instruction. The peace God offers is not dependent on circumstances. It's supernatural. The Apostle Paul wrote this while in prison, yet he spoke about a peace so strong it could guard the heart like a fortress. Imagine replacing every anxious thought with a prayer. Instead of spiraling into what if, you move into God will. David's secret in the Psalms. David faced life-threatening enemies, betrayal from close friends, and seasons of deep depression. Yet in Psalm 23, he declares, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." This statement is the foundation of his peace, trusting that God was actively guiding him. In Psalm 27:1, he writes, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" David teaches us that fear and faith cannot dominate the same heart. If we magnify our fear, God seems small. But when we magnify the Lord, fear shrinks into the shadows. Jesus' direct command about worry. In Matthew 6, verse 25-34, Jesus looks into the eyes of his listeners and says, "Do not worry about your life." He points to the birds of the air and the lilies of the field as living reminders that God provides. Anxiety often comes from trying to control what we cannot control. Jesus flips that thinking. Seek first the kingdom, and everything else will be given to you. This is radical in our age of overplanning and endless what-if scenarios. True peace comes when we shift from self-reliance to God-dependence. Elijah's burnout and God's whisper. In 1 Kings 19, the prophet Elijah is so overwhelmed he asks God to take his life. He's exhausted, discouraged, and afraid. But God does not rebuke him, he restores him, first with food and rest, then with a gentle whisper. This moment shows that God understands our emotional breakdowns. Sometimes, the cure for anxiety is not more activity, but stepping back, resting, and listening for God's still small voice. Isaiah's blueprint for perfect peace. Isaiah 26 verse 3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Perfect peace is not an absence of problems. It's stability in the middle of them. The Hebrew phrase here implies shalom, shalom, a double portion of peace. The key is where your mind stays. If it dwells on God's faithfulness, peace grows. If it dwells on fear, anxiety grows. Paul's shipwreck and steadfast faith. In Acts 27, Paul is caught in a violent storm at sea. Everyone aboard expects to die, but Paul stands firm, telling them an angel assured him that they would survive. His faith steadies an entire crew. This story is a picture of what happens when one person's trust in God becomes an anchor for many. Your peace can influence others in the middle of their storms. Closing reflection and prayer. As we end this 2-hour journey, remember, God's peace is not a theory, it's a promise. It's a shield for your heart, a light in your darkness, and an anchor in your storms. If anxiety has been ruling your thoughts, surrender them to the one who says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. Let his ancient wisdom guide your modern life, and may his perfect peace guard your heart today.